Welcome to Wake and Wellness. Today we have an interestingly different episode than we typically have in the past. I had a conversation recently which was pretty funny and it was very engaging for me. And so it's really the impetus for this episode, which is narcissists, the people that we love to hate. And really diving into why we believe narcissism right now is such a hot topic. I was talking to the person that I got the chance to talk to about this, and she told me about how she was dating a narcissist and all the things she experienced. And then I gave some of my own experience or interactions with a few specific narcissists. And it was a very funny conversation to see how things overlapped and to see how we felt in the conversation. And it also made me think about how I often reflect on my own narcissistic traits and things like that. I really just wanted to bring a greater awareness to all of those things and not just, oh, let's focus on the narcissist and just hate on narcissists, but look at narcissism as a whole and in itself as the NPD, the narcissistic personality disorder, especially because I've had an interest in personality disorders and seeing how in my belief that they are much more prevalent in society than we actually give understanding to or give awareness to. And I think it is interesting now that, mental health is becoming one of the things at the forefront, that if we are actually aware of things that we claim to be aware of, then even some of these things that are not as mainstream, then that means we need to be a little bit more aware of. And so I'm actually excited for this episode and to dive into a little bit of the conversation that we had. So let's get into it. So to go into, we're gonna go a little bit into what NPD is, narcissistic personality disorder is, and some symptoms of it. And then we're just gonna go into how I have, in the conversation that we had, how it has popped up in our lives. And then I'll go into a few of the traits or things that I have seen how narcissism has popped up in my life and how I've worked to actively reduce the amount of narcissism within my life and how we can actually do that. So narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, a disorder in which a person has an inflated sense of self-importance. Narcissistic personality disorder is found more commonly in men. The cause is unknown, but likely involves a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Now, it's 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 funny that we read that and how it's supposed to be more prevalent in men, and it also, and the connection that I wanted to make about why is it so prevalent right now? Why is this such a hot topic? This is popping up not just in places where people are interested in psychology itself, but in so many different. This pops up in magazine articles. This pops up time to time in memes, in all kinds of places of social media where narcissism is just, it's just article on article on article, or support on narcissism and how it's so prevalent right now, and how podcast and how it is the hot topic of the moment. And so, in my opinion, as I started to really sit back and think about it, I think we are in a time in society more than ever that this is a outing, kind of like everybody is getting outed, and things that needed to be put out there are now finding their way out there, where social media made that much easier, where it may have been much more difficult to do these things in the past, and typically against or in situations involving people that are in positions of power. People have been so worried that if I say anything, I'm going to lose my job, and then, nobody's going to believe me anyways, or like, things that should be taken to lawsuits are not going to get pressed anyways, and I have to fear repercussions and other ways that may endanger my life and my family's life. And now there are people that are willing to, that are in positions of power and in positions that they can actually see what's really going on. And we may be being told one thing, but things are actually the other way. And these people are now risking their livelihood and at times their dream, many times, and the glory and all the things that they have put their whole life into. And two people that just pop up as exemplary factors, or exemplary, who are exemplary of this, and in two different industries completely. We can say Snowden and then Kaepernick, and in both of these, one going against the American government, which is, that's the you don't do type of thing. And so one being an asylum seeker while literally putting his life on the line to make us aware of the injustices, just as much as Kaepernick did, in the sense of saying this is an injustice. And the league that we play in, it says we're not supposed to get involved in politics and all this kind of stuff, but yet this is injustice. This goes beyond whatever y'all want to talk about. It goes beyond the politics. We are talking about human life. We're talking about human rights and the treatment of how we are supposed to. All of that should always trump politics. And so we have these people who are in positions of power to make us more aware on many different levels what it is that we should be really paying attention to and how to move forward, and putting their own, again, livelihood and their own well-being at risk to do so. So I think because we're at this kind of period, which we have to say that has to be more of a consciousness and coming into a higher level of a consciousness and awareness, where people are willing to do that so that we can connect, but also that just shows the deeper connection of self-realizing itself. Like, man, I have all these things and I have this position that's so great, but yet this is wrong and I need to say something about it. And if it is at the expense of, whatever it is, whether it's money, fame, this great setup I have, or these connections, I've done it. And that's why I say they are exemplary and two great people to show that. And so on one hand, I believe we are in this era of now of where we're in a hyper, it's almost in a hyper, how can I say, it's really getting ramped up to where things are coming to light. And since people are waking up, it goes beyond, again, it goes beyond any kind of politics, and it gets at the depth of it. So I think that's the biggest reason why. And then two, I think just how I said I like the connection of how they said it's more apparent and men are more prevalent in men. I think it's also not only just the time period that we are in now, but also we're a capitalistic society. We are literally and now it may be a little bit more PC, but we are literally in a society that is like, crush the competition. Make sure that they have no livelihood. This isn't a culture that promotes, we can all win. You can win. Your store can win. My store can win, even if we're on the same block. It's a crush your competition. If you are BK and this is McDonald's, make sure that McDonald's never has the chance again to take one of your kind of clients. Run them out of the bit. And that's the kind of culture that we're in and the mindset that we're given, and that capitalist and the capitalistic, that's the capitalistic climate. That's the culture. And so to be in a time of where we're outing all of these things, and then to be in a culture that just says, F them all. If we are not with you, then you're getting ran over. That's already a clashing. And then to say, okay, well, if capitalism really is at the forefront and what's really making our society succeed, if that's what we're seeing, or flourish, then of course those that are at the top of this system have to be perpetuating that same kind of culture, because that's the one that we say that is going. So what are we going to have to see in them? We're going to have to see some narcissistic tendencies. We're going to have to see some narcissistic personalities, because let's go a little bit further into what this personality disorder is, or what some of these traits are and the characteristics. Narcissistic people will manipulate your feelings. They're experts at using words and actions to make others feel bad about themselves, or even be angry at someone else. So the manipulation is a huge part of this. Excuse me, is a huge part of this. And to keep going, narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. Obviously, that's going to have to be present. To be a capitalist, you have to say to some degree and declare without a doubt, I am, and I don't want to use the word better, but that sounds like, but to some degree, you have to accept that and say, I am better. And obviously, right off the bat, that insinuates better than the others that are as, and or not even cannot be considered as the same. And so we can easily start to see the links between why I think this is now such a hot topic, why even in these movements of the Me Too, this still is going to reflect, because all those people that we saw, the Harvey Weinsteins, the Jeff Epsteins, all of these people, we got people, the Diddy's that are now, you feel me, getting hit with these, like, and the Cosby's, like, we have, and just to keep going, it is, again, at the top of this, at the top of the upper echelon, supposedly where, again, narcissism is going to obviously prevail and show itself in a place of where, is it one person that thinks that nobody at these upper levels are obviously manipulating people beyond any normal type of day-to-day type of human manipulation? And these are obviously going to have ties to exactly what we mentioned before in terms of why this is now somewhat blowing up, because again, we're at a time where we are exposing all of these issues and problems, and in some regards, we can say this is part of the issue. If not, this is literally the almost main, let's say, characteristic, or it can be seen as like the theme for the culture that we are in, and why we are so individualistic, and why we think we thrive in being such an individualistic culture, but how we just keep perpetuating this, and how it keeps crumbling down and we keep seeing it, but yet to get to this same place that so many, really everybody wants to say, I'm in and I am accepted by, means that you're going to, I want to say you're going to have to take this on, but honestly, it's already, you're just perpetuating it. So yeah, but okay, causes of NPD. Children can observe, imitate, and learn traits and behaviors that can develop into NPD. Negative childhood experiences. There may be a link between these experiences. Trauma, rejection, neglect, and lack of support during childhood can all contribute to developing narcissistic traits. That's also very powerful to think that those negative experiences can be the fuel for one to say that I am it, I am the end all be all, or I am, and so I think that's very interesting to focus on as well. To go into symptoms, common symptoms: grandiosity, thinking, making it much bigger than it is, inflating it. Callous and unemotional traits, that's powerful. Disregard for others' feelings. So we can see again how these high execs who is, I've built this company, I've done da 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 da, so I can do what to whoever, and who gonna say anything about it? Because it's me. Like, I am above the law. I am above everything that y'all have out here, so I do not adhere to these things. Excessive need for admiration or social isolation. Criticism often makes someone with narcissistic personality disorder angry, as they see themselves as either the best at everything or a complete failure. I think that's also powerful to see the dichotomy between in this same, in this disorder. They try to make up for this by belittling others. A difficulty in regulating emotions can lead to significant interpersonal problems. What does a narcissistic person act like? Being preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. They believe they are superior to others and can only spend time with or be understood by equally special people. Will be critical of and look down on people they feel are not important. These are all powerful. Everything, each one of those characteristics, symptoms, and everything that was stated there are all so powerful. And to think about how this is perpetuated endlessly within our culture, and really being told like we can look at this in a very simple sense of like the nice guy finishing last. The other side of that is it's this, and it's making sure of utilizing, and it's that capitalist mentality. It's like, crush the competition, get what you got to get, don't worry about nobody else, because ain't nobody else gonna worry about you. And if you're going, and whether or not all of it is true or not, and obviously it's not true, because we wouldn't be able to, the world would not be able to function if we did not actually have the opposite of this. But it's wild, because when you start to feed into that, some of these things start to wash you over and make you start to really believe. Again, yeah, you'll be like, of course I'm above the law, because like I can pay the law off, or the law does get paid off, and you feel me, in certain and from certain aspects and divisions of, depending on your reach and your influence, there are going to be certain things that start to, again, in this narcissistic, that they're just going to emanate off you and actually resonate with you on the within, if that is how you actually are and if you carry those traits. But if you really just start to allow the culture to seep in, and if you desire to be in certain spots where that is exactly what it is, so I think it's a wild and wildly interesting thing to really explore and look at, and think about how some of those things can really, they do really exist within. And you also emanate some of these things. And of course we all have narcissistic tendencies or traits or characteristics, because we all have, to some degree, a self investment, right? And to get anywhere, of course we're going to have, and especially in a capitalistic society where you're like, okay, I don't just want to exist, I want to thrive, then you're going to have to inhabit and take on some of the things that thrive and push this through. Or we all know, you plan the game to some degree, and to get to certain levels, then you sit there and you take in what those others do, and some of the attitudes and all those kinds of things. And so literally, if we're saying that we can see how this capitalistic society is really pushing that kind of, that NPD, whether it's behavior, mindset, and just really, I was gonna say lifestyle, but integration of being, then it's no wonder why, again, right now, it's such a hot topic, because we have a lens it's on everything and anything that anybody does. And we are saying, okay, look at this, this is not right, or this is wild that this is like this. And then we want to start exposing those again, all the way at the top of a society that says, hey, yo, this is the only way to really get through. And this is the way to actually dominate and make sure that you get whatever you want within this. And that's what this society is all about right now, is get what you want. You can have everything. I mean, that's what the American dream is. You can have whatever you want if you work hard enough for it. And so, of course, anybody that says, I have a dream that is important, you have to say, I'm important, because to have an important dream, you got to be important. And then from there, you go, well, I'm the most important thing. So let me make sure I do whatever it is that needs to be done for me. And nobody is as important as your dream or you, right? Like, that's what that's what society really pushes. And so after really looking at your own thoughts and your own ideas and how you also emanate some of these traits, it can get wild, and you can start to go, wow, okay, so like, and you start to look at nature versus nurture, and you say, okay, so was I already like this? Like, well, this is something that is on a spectrum. This is not either you are or you're not. This is something that is, again, on a spectrum, like a gas meter. Like, a lot of us like to think of things as black or white, but your car is not just empty or full. It has some gas, and that is in between empty and full. And this is the same way. And so you may start to think, and I have to say it this way because there's no better way. Like, oh, did I used to be like 30% of a narcissist, and then, like, let's say maybe I got to this place or this job, and then I became 50% or 60% narcissist, or actually I dropped in narcissism. And you start to look at, again, nature versus nurture, and you start to ask yourself, and that's where self-awareness really starts to come in. And so I think it's a very interesting topic, and something very interesting to actually look at, more than just, oh, narcissists, oh, we love them or we hate them, or I can't stand them, or so and so, this artist is a narcissist, or these kinds of people are narcissists. And actually look at it more of, why is this even so prevalent? Like, if you're not actually in a field that actually just studies narcissism, why is this so prevalent? Why is this so interesting outside in all these other fields and places, and being given to you so much, and you being taught about narcissism right now? Why is that so? And why are you interested in the narcissism so much? And then reflecting on how it actually plays a role in your life, from you, stemming from you first, and then from those within the vicinity, and how that relationship is actually helping, again, reflect and perpetuate the relationship to what is being given to you at the moment, and saying, oh, narcissist right now, why? So this was a fun episode, and I'm looking forward to doing more like it. So I hope you guys enjoy and learn a little bit more about narcissists and narcissism, and about yourself and how you relate to narcissism. And until next time, this is Wake and Wellness. Health is wealth.